Hi, just giving an update. I'm pretty bad. My neck was feeling bad 2 days ago, and my grandmother was sick and having like dizziness problems. So I drove her to the doctor, and it really hurt my neck when I was driving and standing around waiting for her to be done and then driving back. Like, it killed me. It hurt a lot. And there's just so much burning, like right underneath the base of my skull, which is where I've had problems. And now I'm like just in pain all day. I've been in bed, and that's pretty much it. And I was already having trouble. Like, I was spending 8 to 12 hours a day in bed already the last couple of weeks, and then this happened, and so I don't know. I can't really afford uh, any kind of regenerative therapy treatments. So, like posterior injections, I can't afford. PICL treatment in Colorado, which was a good chance that would fix me. Uh, I can't afford that. So I'm just sort of left to take my chances with a fusion that could potentially leave me just as debilitated, um, but maybe not permanently. Like, it's like my ligaments are pretty bad, so like even if I rest up for like a couple months, they're still gonna be weak. Whereas a fusion, maybe that would be stronger because it's like, I don't know, bone C1, C2 fusion. Um, ah, um, so, it's like weird. I have like pain up all the way up in here too. I don't know why. It's like in my temples, but it's like radiating from my neck all the way up there. Uh, oh my god. Uh, so it's like I have like my computer of music and video playing. Like, I can get up to go do that, but I can't like, it's like I can't sit like that or prop my head up at an angle to like look at it because it aggravates my neck over time. So can't really do the dishes. So my mom came over to do the dishes yesterday. I can't go shopping because I can't drive. I'm pretty much just stuck here. So it's like I was calling doctors about a fusion, and I was asking on Facebook about like what people are going through with cervical fusions, and people were just telling me not to get it, and I'm like, well, I mean, look at me, like, and I've barely been able to function as it is. Like, I can walk, it's okay still, for whatever. I think because walking, you're not like steady in one spot, right? So you're walking. And like if I just stood up and stood still, that's kind of aggravating, and over time it gets worse and worse. But if I walk, it's like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people with neck issues where they go for walks and it helps rather than hurts. And so I guess walking is just not that hard on your neck. So thankfully I can go outside and go walk around for a bit because the weather's nice here, so that helps. But otherwise, it's like I just stay here. It's like I can't do anything. Like, and even if I rest up and like, I think my connective tissue is just so fragile around C1 that I don't know if regenerative therapies are ever going to do the trick. I mean, maybe if it was like stem cells, and I had like 10 treatments over the course of a year. But I don't have money for that kind of thing. And my family doesn't really want to help with that. They just kind of wish me the good luck, and they'll go spend however much money on their house or whatever, their car. You know, that seems to be a common theme. I see that a lot with people that need help. And, I think if it was a sure bet, if it was like, this regenerative therapy would definitely fix Brennan 100%, I think people would be more inclined to put up the money. But I think it's kind of weird because, like, if I had a family member and I had the money and they're like, it's going to cost $10,000, I just give them the money. And just say, even if it's a 50-50 shot to help, here you go. And I spent the money on my brother. I spent thousands trying to take care of him. Got an apartment for him to stay with me and all that. And he still passed away because of heroin. But when I need help, it's, I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just like maybe because I'm a man. I mean, people don't care about men when they're sick. They don't care about men, especially when they're unemployed. It's like, what's the point? Like, if you can't do things physically, then you don't have a purpose as a man. So just go die. You're just taking up space. But then, I know women too that are just left to die too. So I think it's easier for women to get help, but it's when it starts to look expensive, they're left to die too. So I think that's pretty much my thought process. I'm like, well, it's like I can get a fusion and talk to people about it, and they're like, C1, C2 fusion or something similar. And there was a woman who was like, she got one, and she's like, initially she could use a computer for like 10 minutes, and that was it. And then her neck was burning and all that because she was in a car crash. I think all of her whole neck was damaged, and she was fused C1 to C3. Whereas I think lower down I'm not so bad. I don't really have burning in my lower neck at all. Just like right around C1. And so I think maybe if I got that stabilized, I would have an easier time recovering. And then I know a guy that's got fused, and within like 6 weeks he's going back and doing like a hard labor job. Like lifting stuff and moving stuff and all that. And it's like, and he's fine years later. I think he was all around strong except for just that one spot. And yeah, I think maybe this was all caused by gluten problems. Crap. Is the sound for this even going to be any good? Every time I lay down, hold my phone up like this, the sound is shit. Like, you can't hear anything. So I apologize if that's the case. I don't know how to fix that because I'm not talking any softer than normal. But anyway, so yeah, it would be. Also, the fusion could do one thing that I think regenerative therapy couldn't, which is move my C1 back into place. Well, I've seen a lot of people help with PICL and posterior injections, but I'm like, I never see their C1 actually move back where it should be. Some people have better luck with a chiropractor moving it; it stays better, but it's never like 100%. Whereas like for my C1, they could move it exactly where it's supposed to be and screw it into my C2, so it would be off my internal jugular veins, off my brainstem. Wouldn't be squashing on these things, and then the things to worry about would be like nerve issues, like numbness or pain, and then because that happened. I mean, like even like Peyton Manning got a fusion in like C6, C7, and I mean he had access to the best doctors in the world, and he lost feeling in his fingers, which he then got corrected, I think, a couple years later. And, like, he had pain and numbness. He had pain in other areas, numbness in his fingers, and he had that corrected. I think his was done for a herniated disc. Um, but so that's like in C2, it's like the higher up you go, the more things you can affect. Although, I mean, I guess it's C6, C7, you're already affecting arms. That's about as high up as things go. But, yeah, so that fusion's like, it's scary because I don't want to have pain. Like, but like, I don't know, like, if I had some pain, but at least I could work fairly comfortably, like work a desk job or do some light labor job or maybe a driving job. I don't know. Driving's scary because obviously you get in a car crash and you're extra screwed. So I'd prefer to work at a computer. Um, it's just that I just can't sit long at a computer. So it's scary, but it's like, I don't know, like, I mean, if it was price was no object, I'd get the posterior injections again, and then I'd probably go for about 3 PICL and treatments before I give up. And posterior, it'll be all stem cells. I think I would have to do PICL at this point. I just forget the post. I mean, I'd probably do posterior just to shore things up, like in all my vertebrae in my neck, but then I'd also just do the 3 rounds of PICL, which I think amounts to about $36,000 over the course of a year. I think do it like every 4 months or every 6 months or whatever they recommend. Then let's see if that would help. But I would assume. I think that if I had to bet money, I'd say that would probably fix me. Like I'd get back to a normal life. But I don't know if it would ever fix the tinnitus because I don't know if it would move the C1 off my internal jugular veins. I'd probably have to go do surgery on my transverse process to make room. So it's like, God, it's just, it seems like a clusterfuck. And then getting a fusion seems like a clusterfuck because it's like trying to find someone that's good. I mean, I asked the experts in their fields to tell me like what I should, because they don't take insurance like Bolognese and Henderson and all these, like Joel Frank, all these people that are popular. When you're a really popular doctor and you're in high demand, the trick is to just say, I don't take insurance, because you have constant turnaround or constant customers, and you don't ever lose any money to insurance. So when you say I want $30,000 for procedure, you get $30,000 deposited in your account, minus tax. But yeah, so it's like it really sucks because people that are really well trained, it's like they're like, fuck poor people, I want to make money even though I'm a millionaire. Fuck poor people. And it's like, I just don't, like, as a human, I don't understand how you do that. I don't understand how you can be like someone as good as Joel Frank or Henderson or whatever. I mean, I guess Frank said maybe he's unique because he does a procedure that's different than everyone else. Like, robot assisted, but that's done a lot of places. But then also, he does like a different kind of pin configuration. I don't know. Sounds like bullshit. Sounds like he could just be like, hey, look, I'll take the hit on insurance. The insurance companies, look, I got this procedure, it's proven. Do with the paperwork. If you gotta get a lawyer involved, get a lawyer. Just do what you gotta do to make it work so you can get insurance. And even if you don't get paid as much, because it's like people need you, and you're just abandoning them. And I'm watching people on Facebook like die because they can't get proper help. Not always in the United States because there's more options, but like, if I was someone like that, I would say, all right, I'll take like 5 international patients a month you know, for free. You're from Turkey, you're from Bangladesh, you're from even England. Like they don't really do fusions. They're just like, well, go ahead and die. The NHS is great. Or, the United States should have free healthcare like them. But if you have public healthcare, then um, like we get pushback from our insurance saying we don't think you should get this procedure. Like I went to the doctor the other day. I was like, I'd like a stool test because I have all these intestinal problems and all this. Maybe it caused all my connective tissue problems. And I can say like, hey, can I get a stool test? And they're just like, no. It's like, okay, what do you suggest as an alternative? Nothing, right? Like that's ridiculous that you have to deal with that as a people. Like it's so stupid. Like as a doctor, you have to come up with a test. Otherwise, you're a fucking loser. Like you can't do your job. Like you just like let's do nothing. It's like okay, well then you shouldn't be allowed to be a doctor. Like you if someone has something wrong with them and you can't figure it out, then you need to run a test. Okay, like just you're supposed to try and figure it out. And it makes sense because I've had intestinal problems and issues going to the bathroom for a long time. So it's like a stool test would be reasonable. And like I had an endoscopy, which is much more extreme than a stool test, but also doesn't find the results of. Anyway, so it's just stupid. So we have that in the United States. So if you have free healthcare in another country, or even if you put that in the United States, then you're still gonna have that. We should have that option. We should have Medicare for all, because if people are like, oh, how would you pay for it? It's like, well, just legalize marijuana and tax it. There you go. Free healthcare for everyone, 100% of the time, forever. Problem solved. So that's easy, and but that doesn't mean that it's not like people are still gonna have to push back and say, I don't know, or do you need that procedure? Because if they don't do that, then people will say, you'll get doctors that'll go in there and be like, yeah, this patient that's fine, well, yeah, he gets 50 procedures he doesn't need. And then, he just gets rich and then takes advantage of the system. So it's like you have to have people to check this. But you're going to have people push back, and it's just, currently we should be getting a minimum, like, if I go in and say, I'm having this problem, you can't just do nothing. That shouldn't be allowed. We should have minimum level of testing. We should have people getting their complete micronutrient tests, amino acid, all vitamins and minerals like every 2 years. The only reason to push back against that is because they're looking for their quarterly profits. Anyhow, so this is me being super depressing and making your day worse. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get a fusion because I don't know what else to do. I mean, my quality of life is so bad that like if I could go get euthanized, I would just go. I'd just be like, peace out. Like it's just not, you know. I mean, might even take a firing squad. Why not? Could be fun. Who wants to go out quiet in their bed when they're 80? You go firing squad. Sounds a lot more fun. Preferably with an M60. So, I just, that's how bad my quality of life is. People are like, don't get a fusion because it could cause you problems. And I'm like, fucking dying. like I haven't been able to work in 2 years. I can't do anything. I don't have any friends because nobody wants to hang out with a person with health issues. And my family doesn't want to talk to me because they don't want to talk to someone with health issues. Like, if you ever have a chronic condition that's debilitating, like, say goodbye to your friends and family. It's not just me being bitter and saying this. It's like, everyone I see is the same thing. Like, there might be 1 or 2 people that will support you, but, like, anyone that can abandon you will abandon you. And, like, it's just, I saw it with my aunt. Like, she's got MS. Who goes to visit her? Like, her brothers and sisters? Not really. Like, her mom? Not her dad. Right? Like, not even her dad. Yeah. I was planning to, before I got injured, I was going to get a service dog and go up there and visit her every week. And other people there, because basically the people that are, the homes, like, homes for people that, assisted living centers, like, there's people who are just basically left to die. They're just forgotten. At least in hospice, you're not going to live that long. But assisted living, you could be there 15 years or something, and just alone with the staff that mildly cares about you. It's like you need people to come in, and I think pets are great for that kind of thing. So I imagine I'm going to get a fusion. I imagine it's not going to go well, and I imagine I'm going to die. But I don't really see what choice I have, because it's like, I don't know. The food that I'm eating, I've changed my diet to, because I was watching Dr. I think Gundry, and he has a whole bunch of stuff about diet. And I was eating bad stuff even up until like a couple of weeks ago. And I watched his videos, and like now I can go to the bathroom better, and my stomach bothers me less. I mean, that could have been causing I think just about everyone with the autoimmune condition and chronic disease has issues with that, and it can be caused by food that you're eating. But also, a lot of people with autoimmune conditions, they have a very stressful event, like a death in the family or something very extreme, and then that's when they started having problems. And that's also when you start having issues with your stomach. So your stomach can get a leaky gut from all the stress. And then if you are eating bad foods, which most people are, then now that starts to get into your bloodstream, go around your body and wreak havoc, because it's not filtered properly. I don't know the exact. I mean, if you watch Dr. Gundry's videos, they're really practical and helpful. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He's a heart surgeon, and he's seen people have to avoid successfully heart surgery with their diet. Just saying, like, like they've got plaque buildup or whatever, and they change their diet and it just goes away. So they don't need bypass, or maybe they don't need a heart transplant. Like it just gets fixed. And so that's a huge thing, and we're all pretty much eating wrong because of the kinds of foods. And people think, all right, what if I just eat fruits, vegetables, and meat? But it's like you think you're eating like grass-fed meat, and that's safe. But is grass-fed meat only grass-fed? No, it also is fed corn with pesticides and oats and all this shit. That it's like, okay, well now you have gluten and pesticides in your diet from the meat. So, and that's gonna cause problems, especially if you have a leaky gut. And it can cause that, or you can have a stressful event. It can cause that in conjunction with the bad food, and then you can have issues like there's genetics involved, right? Like you can have a predisposition to say, like, you're at a high risk to get this whatever chronic disease, but you don't get it till you have a leaky gut. And so diet's really important. And if you eat fruits and vegetables and stuff, like some of them are really bad. Like you can eat, spinach can cause you problems, or something like almonds can cause you problems. You don't take the skin off. Tomatoes can cause you problems. You think like, they're pretty healthy, but the skin and the seeds are bad. So yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, fusion, and trying not to panic about it. But I'm seeing doctors about it next month, and I also imagine, in addition to it going poorly, because literally every time a doctor touches me, it causes me to be worse. I think they're gonna look at my MRI and be like, "Oh, he looks fine," and they're gonna turn me down for fusion because they don't know what a digital motion X-ray even is, and they don't understand that you can see ligament damage on that. And I think they might turn me down for that reason. So it may be months before, it might be 6 months. I don't know how long I can last like this, how long I can hold out with all this pain and just being stuck, confined to a bed like 12 to 16 hours a day. Like, it's really hellish existence, um, especially with little hope for the future. So yeah, I think regenerative therapy needs to be covered by insurance because people are dying because it's not. Digital motion x-rays, doctors need to familiarize themselves with that. And because euthanasia should be illegal. It should be allowed. I mean, maybe there's a chance I get better, but if I don't, that should be an option. And then, but I also know people that are like, especially older people that are just wrecked, and they're like, look, man, like I've lived my life, and I don't want to live anymore because it's just like I got nothing to look for. I got health problems. Everyone's dead, and I just, I'm 80 plus, 90 plus, and I don't want to live anymore. And people are like, just keep on living. And it's like they don't want to. Like at a certain point, like your quality, and this applies to everyone. People think like you can tough it out, but it's like at a certain point you lose your quality of life. So it's like, it'd be different if like I was in pain and I could still do something, right? Like I could walk dogs or do a job or make a difference in the world. But if it's like if you're struggling through life and you just also can't do anything, it's like what's the purpose? Like consuming podcasts and video and waiting to die? Like euthanasia really needs to be legal, because it's respectful. Like I feel disrespected by the state and by the people in my community by them telling me like, hey, you just have to suffer. Like if I'm suffering, I should be able to get the treatment I need, and if the treatment doesn't work, I should be able to be allowed to die peacefully and be treated with dignity, and everyone should be. I don't know why it's not the case. Like we put dogs down because it's inhumane to let them suffer, but we don't put people down. I understand there's issues where you could be like, what if someone decides they want to commit suicide, but if they just waited, they would change their mind, live a fulfilling life. I'm like, fine, put a waiting period on it, put a year on it, where I have to say like, if you come back at any point in this time and say you don't want to commit, you change your mind, then we reset it. And then you have to wait another year before you want to do it again. Like, if you tell us you want to do it, and then a year later you're like, yeah, I still definitely want to do it. But that's someone that's like, there's a very high chance that they want to go, and that's the right thing. But if someone says, look, I want to do it because I've seen, especially younger people, they'll be like, oh, I have to change my diet, I'm going to kill myself. Or my girlfriend broke up with me, I'm going to kill myself. And it's like, then they get over it like a couple weeks later, like that can happen too. So I understand like having waiting periods on it, but it's like, if you've got health problems and you go through a waiting period, like, fine. And I think people deserve it because we're all gonna die anyway. Like anyone listening to this, like you're gonna die, And if you're lucky, you have a heart attack or an aneurysm, and you go in your sleep or something. But most of the people hearing this are gonna slowly and painfully die, and it's also going to be a lonely experience. There won't be many people that will be around that will actually give a shit, especially if it's drawn out because they don't want to see that. It's depressing. So I think like laying in a bed and waiting, and then also costing all this money to, if family's paying for you to like stay in an assisted living center or hospice or whatever, it's like, why? It's just nonsense. So like when I hear older people talking about wanting to go, or people that are deeply suffering, I'm like, yeah, like life's fun until it's not. and then I mean, Christ, we decide everything else in our existence, but we're like, death, nah, we can't do that. It's like, why? Property values are high now, man. We gotta get rid of some of us. Like, it's too many of us. So, I mean, I'm hoping I can get a fusion and go back to living my life, because it could possibly get rid of my tinnitus for the most part, and allow me to work a full-time job and allow me to live. And if I have some muscle tightness and some pain, well, whatever. As long as it's not that bad. Good deal. But that's my hope, I guess, right now. It's my only hope, is that. And so yeah, for the next month, I'm just gonna be laying in this bed. Aside from showering, going for walks, and eating.